Ash, welcome to Spark
Hi,
TV.
thank you
I'm
for having me.
so excited to have you here. So good. I mean, it's so funny. I'm so looking forward to this chat because literally we've been talking for the last 15 minutes, not on record. So I'm like, oh my God, we need to hit record because we've already like got all of the nuggets. That's so good.
We can start with now.
That's right. Now we're prepared. Now we're like, we've got what we're doing. But why don't we just open it up to telling the Spark community what it is you do? What is Monty Compost?
So, Monty Compost Co., we have developed a monitoring device for composting, and now I just wish I had one on me, but I don't. Basically, it's a device that you stick into any sort of compost pile. It connects to our mobile app, and then it tells you basically how to compost efficiently, effectively, so it's clean, so it's fast, so you can retain nutrients. It's basically just building the tools to help people compost. Like that's really what we're doing. It's really cool. It's very much a new growing area, pardon the pun.
Love that.
But I know that a lot of people have kind of a lacking or different perception of what composting really is. So I think another big part of Monty is kind of just that education and awareness of compost.
So good. Yeah. I love that.
Kind of a bit of babble, but yeah.
No, that's perfect. And so then composting, cool. But how did you get into that? Like, did you always want to start a business? How did you?
When I was, ever since I can remember, I was like, I want to be the founder of a composting company. So like,
I knew from an early age.
Actually, I was kind of a weird kid. I remember when they asked me what I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be a podiatrist when I was in like grade 7.
That is so random.
I know, because I was always really like, it wasn't, not in like a fetish way, but I was always like really preoccupied with having clean feet. And so someone's like,
I have that too.
Doctor, yeah.
Yeah, so I have to wash my feet like twice a day. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, they have to be clean. And so everyone's like, this 12-year-old running around being like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a podiatrist when I grow up. But no, I ended up being a compost entrepreneur.
Excellent. Bit of a pivot, bit of a life change. How did this happen?
How it happened though. So what I was always into though was like sustainability and environmentalism. Always really passionate about the environment, about ecology, about animals. But I didn't know anything about compost. So I'd been doing, volunteering and being part of different clubs and all of that. And it wasn't really until I was getting towards the end of my uni degree, and I did business management and IT. Again, nothing related to compost, even though I'd been part of, these groups for years, for like almost a decade at that point, being involved in the environmental movement. And it was literally just reading this book on agriculture. And it's very relevant now. The book was called The Coming Famine.
Oh God.
It's really scary. It's really grim. It's like predicted everything that we're going through now. But one of the things that they were talking about were like the degrading soil that we have, the fertilizer shortages, all of these agricultural supply chain issues, and how this incredibly easy, valuable, accessible solution was just taking the food waste that we naturally produce, whether it's, your leftovers or avocado pits, whether it's, grass clippings, all of the organics that come out of our lifestyle and returning that to the soil through composting. And I think it kind of just like randomly, when you stumble across something and you're just like, you just can't get it out of your head. And it's like, I feel like I just kept coming back to it and being like, wait, so no one's doing this? Because at the same time, I was, getting into, through my business degree, I was getting into entrepreneurship. So everyone's always thinking about ideas and they're like, I'm doing this fintech or I'm doing this bullshit. And then I'm like, compost. So I ended up just doing this research project on it and coming first in that because I just went all out on the research. I wrote like a 15,000 word report on compost, like on a compost business proposal. I just got so obsessed with it. And then I had like 25 grand in my bank account to make that business, even though I hadn't really thought about how I was going to do that at all. And then I applied for an accelerator at my university and I got into that. And then it all just kind of became a reality. And I'm like, okay.
Like, I'm really a compost entrepreneur now.
I don't think it sunk in really. I don't think I really like considered the reality that the next like decade of my life, I was just gonna think about the word compost like several dozen times every day. I don't think
Wow.
there's as many like I think wow, yeah, that's kind of grim, but
I'm glad somebody's trying to save the world though. Like, I remember hearing you speak at one of your events that we had in the Scrunch office, and you said that, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, what? You're telling me that we can solve all the world's problems by composting? Why is nobody talking about this?
No one taught, and that's just like it was crazy to me at the time, and that's why I got so obsessed with it because obviously it's not just from an environmental perspective, it's just from a pure business perspective. You have this market of 3 billion tons of organic waste every year that's going to landfill that could be turned into a valuable end product. Like that's just a business opportunity right there. Like you don't even have to be environmental to see that as something. And so it was very logical to me to pursue it. And then it just the ball just kind of kept rolling. I know, and I'm just like, oh god, and I'm just being
what did I do?
behind it. I know, what did I do? I mean, it's good though. It's good. Like it is good. Stuff like I'm very happy.
Amazing.
I say crying. And it's so meaningful what we're doing, but it's been a very, very tough 3 years, 3.5 years.
Well, it's a physical product, like it's hardware. So that's crazy. How did you even go about like getting a hardware product designed, developed, manufactured? Like, I see you rolling your eyes and I'm like, oh, this is a story. This is a time.
It's so hard. Like that goes without saying.
Don't sugarcoat it. Don't sugarcoat it.
Like, oh my God. And everything is so expensive and you ship product and it all breaks at once. And then you have to get it back and then it just broke for a stupid reason and then you repair it and then you have to do a redesign and oh my God. So I was an idiot. Like looking back, that's probably one thing I would change is that I would do the software part first and then do the hardware part when we had a bit more kind of like progress. But you know, what I tell myself now is like, you know, we're very competitive now having a hardware component. Anyone who would try to copy us, it would be not impossible, but it would take a lot of sanity and a lot of money. But I was an idiot. That's what happened. I thought that I did an IT degree and I did one course in like electronics programming. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can found a startup. Easy. I can a hardware startup. I can solo start by myself with an IT degree as like a 23-year-old. Yeah, no problem. No, it's really hard.
But I kind of think though, if you don't think that way, you don't do it. Like if I knew what I was in for, I'm not sure if I would have started a business.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. There's not like, even I'm not masochistic enough to willingly go into the torment that these 3 years have been. Like, because even though you know there's the reward, it's still just like,
it's hard. I know. And there are days where you're like, you know what, if I just worked in a job, how easy would that be?
Being able to leave work on Friday, like
get out.
No, we love our job. Actually, just on that, that's one of my favorite quotes that a mentor has said to me is like, the best part about being your own boss is you get to choose the 15 hours a day you work. It's so true. It's like, so true. I get all this flexibility to grind myself into the dirt. Or into the compost in my case.
Absolutely. Well, at least you're saving the world whilst you're grinding yourself into the compost.
Exactly. And see, that's something that I remember is I have to remind myself as well. Like, as much as I, whinge about this sort of thing, I did like a corporate internship before my last year of uni. And it was only 3 months, and everyone I worked with was really nice, and the work was, challenging, but like I learned a lot, and it was a great workplace, awesome. I knew after like 3 days, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I knew, and it wasn't during the big bushfires, but it was the summer before, so there was still some really devastating bushfires happening. And I just remember, like, every day I turned the news, I just felt sick, because it's like, oh my God, there is all of these climate, environmental problems, which I know is my life's work. And I'm working at this bank, developing some like fucking app for them. I don't care about this. Like, and I know that if I had spent these past 3 years doing some grad program at a consultancy or something like that, and this is no shit to anyone who does that, but as someone who very much knows what their life purpose and life passion is, I feel like if I had done that, it would be, and I couldn't be happy. You know?
Oh my God. Totally. Like, I will whinge every day of the week about what I'm doing, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, so I'm a little bit older than you, and I worked for.
Believe it, doll.
I know. Thank you. It's all the concealer.
It's all the Botox for me.
Love it. But I worked for years in corporate and had so I didn't even know, this is how, speaking about being an idiot, I'm like, I didn't even know that you could start a business. I didn't even know. It's so funny. Everyone's like, when we did our first capital raise, they were like, oh, what did you do? What was your strategy? I was like, I didn't even know somebody that could lend me $100, let alone invest in a business, like, it was total flying blind. So I'm just stoked for you that you know what your life purpose is and you get to start on it early. That is so cool. There's so many people who are 40, 50, 60, 70 who are like just grinding out in their corporate day jobs because they don't know what they're interested in, passionate about, or that there's another way.
I see that so much. And I think I do feel so lucky that I know every day when I wake up, okay, if I accomplish something around this, then when I'm 80 years old, I'm going to be happy with the life I've lived. But like, I went through, like, I tried so many different things though. Like, when I graduated high school, I went to like a film college for 1 semester, and then I studied psychology and international relations, and like then I did international business, and all that time I was doing like these different kind of jobs and internships everywhere. Like, of course there was hospital, and then there was also like a marketing job and like an IT desk job, and I worked in like China and Denmark, and I was as part of like the university program, and I just tried all of these different things, and I knew quickly, I really trusted my gut. I'm like, okay, this part of the job is fun, I kind of find interesting, but not going to do it like long term. So I think that by doing all of that, it was literally just by process of elimination that I was able to really say, no, this is the issue, and this is that I care about, and this is the way that I'm going to work on it. And I do feel so like privileged that I've been able to do that, and I've had the opportunities to do that. So I just feel like for anyone who's going to university or gone to university, like, you have the ability to find what your life passion is, but you have to be willing to give things up. You have to be willing to try something and not be embarrassed or ashamed to say, this wasn't for me. It's not a failure, but it's just figuring out that this isn't the right path and trying the next one. And
I love that so much. Like, I feel like some people, especially people who kind of go through corporate careers, they're always like, I've got to at least be here for 1 to 2 years or it's going to look bad on my resume. I'm like, what?
Who cares about your resume? You never get a job with a resume these days anyway.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's the truth.
Yeah, yeah, you just don't. Like if you're getting a job through resumes, like, honey, come on.
You don't know enough people.
Cold message. You've got to like find the company you want to work for, stalk every single person who works at that company, connect with them on LinkedIn at the same time, and then like strategically like their posts until the time you just cold message the recruiting officer. How do you do it?
I love how this turned from a business interview into this is how you land your perfect job.
That's how I would hire someone. It's seriously, totally. I think the modern workplace is changing so much, and like these traditional ways of like, you know, you get a resume, and this comes back to starting your own business as well. Like the number of consultants and freelancers and different kind of like, you know, you do part-time for 3 days a week at a company, and then you freelance the rest of your time. Like the career, or I feel like people need to stop thinking about work as a job and more as like a vocation. And it's like, it's this thing that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. You need to find meaning from what you're doing. And that doesn't mean it has to be always interesting. Like, God, I fucking hate answering emails. I hate like 90% of the job I have to do. Like, I hate so much of what I do, but even if I've had the most boring day, I still leave being like, nice. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Totally. And I think it's so interesting because as business owners, you want people working for you who think that way, who go, I want to change the fucking composting world. And they stalk you on LinkedIn and they talk to you about what you're interested in and their vision for the future. That is the kind of employee you want. You don't want someone who's like, well, I've done this and I've done this, and the recruiter said I could get a good wage if I worked with you. Like, that sucks.
That actually sucks so much. And with those people, you're never going to be a good match, because if they're approaching working with you like that, then they're going to approach working with the next person and leaving you like that. So I think that's why 100%. I love, oh my God, Team Monty is like, they're all so incredible. Like,
tell me about them.
Amazing. Like, it's everyone. Oh my God, I could talk about my team for days. They are like,
How did you find them?
So lucky. Oh my God. So it's actually really funny. So I would honestly just call her my business partner. Like, so Phoebe, she joined like after I've been working at Monty for like a year and a half. On kind of like the business operations side, while I started moving into product more. But we'd known each other since high school. So like we had literally known each other for 10 years. And she is just like we're very similar, but we're also quite different. I don't know. That's what
and like that's very confusing, but yes.
Cancels out so much. But we're very different, but we get on so well. And like because we're friends, and because, you know, we've been friends for so long, we can be honest with each other. We can tell each other to shut up. We can, you know, be rude and then be getting on like the next minute. So that was so essential in being at an early stage startup, because like you don't, when you're at a startup, you can't afford the veneer of professionalism that corporations do. Like, you can't afford all of that stuff. You know, we worked at Phoebe's house for like 3 months. And like, you just have to do things differently. So she was like just essential in that first year of us together after we raised money. But then once we did our second round, we brought on a product owner, Junior, and he's just the smartest person I've ever met.
My God, I know Junior. He's amazing. Yeah.
He's brilliant. Like, he's like everyone's guru as well.
Yeah.
Like, he'll just like come out because he's, don't even get me started. And then Emily, and she's our marketing person. She's so like, she's a hustler. She's like 21 and she's like just works so hard. She is just gonna like take over the world. And then we've got Lewis and Linda, and they're kind of like part-time analysis developers. So they do all kind of like the research on the analysis side, and they're both geniuses. Like, Lewis was the one who like studied mathematics, and then Aninda he works at Cyro on his PhD. Like, they're both brilliant. And I'm just sitting there like an I'm like I appreciate my role in bringing it together. So I'm not meaning to like discredit myself or anything, but I talk to all of them and I'm like, these people are so much smarter than me.
Oh my
Like
God.
these people
But that's what they
are
say,
so much
right?
more confident than me. Yeah. You want to hire people better than you for sure. But every day I'm like sitting like today. Danielle Lewis were like in the lunchroom, blah blah blah, talking, and I was like, "Hey guys, what you chatting about?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're talking about like Markov chain matrixy back filtration." I'm like,
What? Like,
okay,
oh, well, I'm gonna
cool,
go
bye.
now with my wine and
I'm gonna go email someone. Like, it's it's funny, but yeah, and I think that's the other thing I guess that makes this journey worth it is the people you get to work with. Like
yeah.
I compare them to every other job is like, oh my God, it's not even a comparison. Like working with the people who would work at a compost startup
Yes.
or just a startup in general, they're a different breed of people. Like they are so creative and so inspiring every day. So I really love that as well. I think we got onto this tangent because you asked about a hardware startup.
Oh my God,
And
I think so. Well, and I was
yeah,
gonna say, well, I was even gonna say, so yes, like hardware, that's insane. But the other thing I wanted to know was now that you have a team, how has life changed for you? Like, how has your role as the startup founder evolved now that you've got people around you?
I think what happens is that just like, when it was just me, I was doing everything.
Yeah.
And then like literally everything I wanted to fine. But
Deep
I was
breaths,
doing
deep breaths.
everything. I'm getting like war flashbacks. um Doing everything. And then, you bring one person on and like Phoebe came on and she started focusing on more the business side. So I could, then that took off like 40% of what I was working on there. And then I was able to allocate that to more product company related stuff.
Yeah.
And then, Junior came on and he started focusing on obviously like he just owns the product like a boss.
Yeah.
So I just have 100, and it's the same as Emily who focuses on marketing. Like I was doing both of those roles. I have 100% faith in them. I barely touch those functions anymore. Like we do check-ins and stuff, but they get the mission, everything. Like they just do everything. And it's so funny. I always get compliments, particularly on the marketing because it's so outward facing. And people are like, oh my God, your socials have stepped up so much. They're so great. And I'm like, it's literally this incredible person.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the really cool thing is that you get, even though I enjoyed some of those parts of the job, I would rather like see someone take that on and really own it and do better than I could possibly do.
Yeah.
That's what's best for the company. But what the downside of that is that my job is boring. All I do is like answer emails and do invoices and call people and follow them up and reply to shit. It sucks. Like at least I got to do fun stuff before. Now I'm just boring.
You're a manager now. Blah.
I don't like it. I don't want to be a manager. Just let me go back to my compost. No, like it is mostly like management stuff, but again, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It is stressful, but I don't think I wouldn't describe the work as really hard anymore. Maybe it's still hard, but it's not complicated anymore. It's quite straightforward now. Like a lot of the complex problem solving related to operations or market or product. I've got these amazing people who solve those problems.
Yeah.
And now my job has just kind of become removing barriers and stuff and making it as easy as possible for them to do that.
Yeah. And I assume like if you raise capital again, or if you do those, like you'll be in that super high level strategic stuff.
Yeah. You don't get to touch anything else. But I mean, I think that's a good thing. Like I think you need to give ownership of those areas to the people who are running them. I think that was one lesson that I learned is like stepping back from micromanaging. It's not healthy to grow a business. Like there are a lot of things you learn very quickly when you're doing something like a hardware and software startup that you have to learn very quickly. Otherwise, you spend tens of thousands of dollars on tooling and parts and stuff that breaks.
Shit.
And it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. How did you find as you were doing that, did you uncover any shortcuts? Like if someone was like, hey, I've got an idea for a hardware product, did you like figure out any kind of shortcuts to avoiding those problems? Or was it, sorry, you're actually just going to have to like go through the pain?
Yeah, I think you have to just go through the pain. Like it depends what hardware it is. Like I think if the hardware already exists, like if what you're saying is I want to make a lamp, which I'm saying because there's a lamp in front of me.
Yeah.
I want to make a lamp, but the lamp is red, or the lamp is made of fire, or the lamp is something like it's something that already exists but kind of different.
But you're making it different. Yeah.
You can find like the shortcut is you hit up China and you find someone who already does that and you get their team to make an alteration.
Yeah,
like,
gotcha.
That's your shortcut. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, like this is something that a lot of hardware people don't know, is that a lot of the time what you want to invent already 98% exists. Don't try and make 100% new product. Try and make that 2% really special.
Yeah.
But in our case, it's like 100% new. Well, it's not 100% new. I would say that there were certain aspects of it that we could have potentially reduced the initial design effort into, but you know, it's not to a degree that it would have saved us years. You know, we still would have had to go through all of this. So I would say hardware, consider what you're really inventing. Consider if, like, is it something that already exists and is slightly different, or is it something that's completely different? And if so, like, is there a different way to do it? Like, for example, if I would have done it differently, I would have started with the software, built up a user base, and then went ahead and built the hardware. But you live, you learn. No harm done. My sanity is just gone. It's easy. My stress tolerance now, though, is like through the roof. Like I could go through anything. Nothing phases me anymore.
That is like one of the things that being a business owner teaches you, right? Like strength and resilience that no corporate job could actually give you.
Oh God, no. Like seriously, you just get on with it. Nothing bothers me anymore. And I think actually one of the like sub segments that I think is so funny is public speaking. Like I remember when I started entrepreneurship and I was like giving a presentation or doing a pitch and I was like shaking. I was so nervous all the time. And now I'll just roll up and be like, what's up, everyone? And I'll be like in front of like an entire group of like really professional people. And I was like, so like there's this thing. Yeah, I just won't even put in any effort in front of like 100 people. I'm like, whatever. So yeah,
I think because you know it now though, right? Like when you're first starting out, it's like, you know, you're defining what things are, you're defining who your customers are. There's all these questions that get thrown at you that you're like, I don't know. And then you have to go find out what your answer is to those questions. And then by the end of it, like you go, literally, I say the same thing every time I talk about this.
I know and actually that's something that I've started experiencing recently that I really love, especially as a young person, because, you know, at the beginning of this, because Compost kind of falls into a lot of different categories, you know, it's food waste, it's sustainability, we've got a hardware product, we're in recycling, we're in circular economy, like we're in all the buzzwords around there, and it's software, it's like it's a lot of different areas that we fall into. So whenever I was back then, like a few years ago when I was first starting out, falling into like talking into people who were like experts in those fields, I felt very kind of like, and a lot of the time people do this, they try and make you feel inferior, like you don't know what you're talking about.
That just sounds like a young business woman problem.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
I feel you.
oh my God. And I am just so mad at
Good.
myself
I'm glad we're mad about this.
for 3 years ago for not calling those people on their bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
I had some VC tell me that I didn't know about Compost. And I'm like, bitch, what? Sorry, I forgot that I was.
No, that's right. We have wine, so we're allowed to get real on this podcast.
It's good in a way that remembering those experiences hardens you to deal with future experiences.
Oh
but
my
at the
God.
same time, looking back, I'm like, how, like, first of all, how dare you? Like I have been researching this for years. Like, and back then, because obviously you're starting out and you look at these people and you're like, oh, you're so high up, you must know so much. Then as you go through it yourself, you're like, actually, you've never started a startup. You've never started anything. You just sit there spending other people's money. Like, and you're going to sit there and tell me about something that's my subject matter expertise. No, sweetie, that shit ain't sticking. Sorry.
Oh my God. No, I love it so much because, like, so I remember, so I started Scrunch, which is software as a service, tech platform, data analytics. Are you choking?
Just laughing. Sorry, I was listening to that though.
No. So good. But I remember I went to my first tech networking event in Brisbane 10 years ago, and it was basically a room full of men with pizza and beer, because that's what tech networking events were.
That's what it is.
Love it.
So I've got an idea for a fintech. It uses blockchain and it's going to be innovative.
It was so funny because this guy was drinking a beer and basically spitting at me and going, oh, you'll never make it in tech because you're a blonde woman. And I walked out of that fucking networking and I was like, it's like a prominent dude in Brisbane technology scene as well. And I'm like,
say that because you're a blonde woman. Yep.
I was like, but fortunately, I've used that as fuel. I walked out of there and I was like, I will show you.
That's what I was so mad. That you need to have the attitude of someone who was just rejected from Australian Idol. You need to have the attitude of, do you remember they used to film them coming out and they're like, I'm going to be famous and I'm going to show
them.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to show that fucking, and you know what? I did get to do it the other day. Like, there was this this angel investor who, you know, when I first talked to him like really early on, oh, he was such a wanker. Oh, and there was this networking event, and I totally just like, you don't need him. Like, no, seriously, and that's the thing that I found.
You've got to find your people,
and that's why like our investors are so incredible. Like, they've been always just like so respectful, and I've seen them talk. They treat every founder the same, whether it's men or women. But like, it's definitely out there, but it's frustrating because it's like in startups, I feel like the way that women are treated, it's either kind of like this really insidious, passive aggressive, or little snarky comments like that aren't super overt. Yeah. And you feel like you can't make a big deal out of it because it's just a snide comment from one guy. Yeah. But they build up. And it's like, when you're going every single day and getting that, then it really, it does build up. And it's like, I don't feel like this is the place for me, because even if it is just once a week or once a month, or even just once, it's still like that mindset is acceptable because you've clearly said that to other people and haven't been called out. Yeah. And so it's either that or women are treated like a novelty in startups. Yeah. And that can be a little bit frustrating, the kind of pandering. It's I'm kind of in two minds about it, because I really love promoting women in startups and working in startups and giving a leg up to, you know, the people who are traditionally not seen in these industries. But at the same time, don't attribute my success to the fact that I'm a woman. Like, don't say that I was successful in spite of that. Yeah. It's like the only people who think that being a woman is a barrier to business success are people who make it a barrier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not what, there's nothing inherently preventing women being successful and needing all of these platforms other than the people who are creating the barriers and the ceilings. But that's just me having a whinge, having a wine.
I love that. I love that so much. It's, it's so, I've done, I think 5 capital raises in the last decade. And the amount of male VCs or angel investors that I've spoken to who have said, things like that, like, you'll never make it because you're a woman in technology. I had someone tell me I was too perky, to which I replied, you're fucking lucky that I'm perky because this is hard. So I need to maintain this level of energy to give you a return on your investment. Anyway, that aside.
You know that like if you'd been a guy, they'd be like, yeah, he was really positive, really upbeat.
I know, drives me.
You're a cheerleader.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what it's like. It's the double standard, isn't it?
So annoying. Like, it's so frustrating. And I think, like my mum was a queen. She like worked her way up and like spent 40 years at the same place, just like such a hard worker. And so to me, like, I don't think I ever understood, like, why is there's no barriers towards women? That's nonsensical. Like, and then actually getting into this space and getting those snide comments. I mean, like, how is that a thought you're thinking? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, have you not seen the level of failure that occurs from men? Why do you, like, how can you reconcile those two? How can you say, oh my God, the startup industry has such a high failure rate? Oh, it must be because we have so many women in it. What? Like that just makes no sense. If any, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
oh my God. You have just had a revelation. There's such a high failure rate, and how many women go into business and how many women are underfunded. We can literally blame it on male founders right here. People are going to hate this episode, by the way.
No, I don't care.
No, but I kind of love what you said, that the only, because I feel exactly the same. Like, I get what we go through because I've been through it, but I never want to use that as an excuse to hold myself back. I'm like, I will be successful regardless. And I love what you said. It's like, it's only a problem if you make it a problem. You have to find, yes, it's a bit of extra work because we've got to deal with some idiots, but there are people out there that will support great ideas.
And you know what? I think, if anything, and this is something that I apply it to anyone we work with from a Compost perspective, but I think it also works from like a, diversity and like gender perspective as well, because it's like, if an investor in this example won't invest in you because, you're a woman, but he invests in a man, then that male founder is going to have to deal with a sexist investor.
Yeah.
Now, that investor, if he's that prejudiced, he's probably going to be a really difficult investor in a lot of other areas.
Yeah.
Good people typically aren't prejudiced against different demographics. So in a way, that's kind of like being a woman is kind of like a natural bullshit idiot filter. You know what I mean? It's like,
that is awesome.
And it's the same as Compost. It's like, we get so many people who pass us over because it's like, Compost. But it's like, okay, so you're clearly a person who can't see opportunity, can't identify maybe unconventional but still valuable areas of investment. Cool, we don't want you. Like, we want people who can think open-mindedly, who can be accepting, and who are supportive. And it's like, great, you've just helped us filter out the shit people. And I think that's one reason why we have such a great team, because, maybe we don't look like the cool fintech startup that ends up attracting all the really superficial people and all the investors who have like, they have to have a double male founding team where one's like this nerdy engineer and the other one's like a savvy trust fund baby whose dad's going to file the seed round. Anyway,
few people spring to mind. Anyway,
I know. But like that's fine. That's fine with me. If you're gonna think through, if you're gonna have those kind of prejudices, then that makes it all the easier for me to identify the people that I don't want to work with. You know?
Oh my God. I love that so much. And you know what? That is the best way to look at not only investors, but customers, team, like anything. It's like let people self-select themselves out.
That's it. It's self-selection. It's like, okay, cool. Yep, I'm gonna be as composty and lame as I want to, and I'm gonna end up getting people who are the same as that. So yeah.
That is incredible. Okay, so let's finish up with some words of wisdom. If you could transport yourself back a few years ago and give yourself some advice. So, because lots of people that watch Spark TV are kind of early stage founders or just taking the leap or trying to convince themselves to take the leap. Yeah. What do you wish you knew all the way back?
Oh my God, obviously buy Bitcoin, right?
Buy Bitcoin? Yes.
Everyone. Ever buy Bitcoin. Damn it. No, I think that's just
time machine buy Bitcoin.
Default answer. But no, my actual advice to Ashely starting out or anyone in this space that I guess a lot of people start out in, which is this like university co-curricular startup ecosystem. I feel like a lot of people come from that space, or even like networking events, hackathons. Oh my God, like whatever.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Real, don't worry.
Whatever you're getting into, just don't listen to the bullshit. People are like, the further into the startup journey you get, the more unprofessional and like fake you realize it is. You realize that everyone is just trying to like make it by and feel like and look like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's so much mythos that's been created around startups. You know, you've got like these gangster developers who are just cashing deals and doing all this stuff, and you go to meetings in a bathrobe and I'm like the cool hacker man guy, and it's like not like that. Like that's maybe 0.1% of cases, and all of those guys are douchebags. Like 99.9% of the startup ecosystem is people who are trying to do something really hard, but they feel insecure about doing that because they look at that 0.1% and the media shows that 0.1% to them.
Yes.
So I would say just keep the startup like advice out of your head. Like not the advice, but like the startup theater.
The culture.
Don't look at it. Don't watch the culture. Exactly. Yeah. Don't be a little culture vulture. Don't try and get in on that. Just find your idea, find your business, find your people, what you're going to work on. Use like startup methodologies and use like the techniques in it. But don't get caught up in the bullshit, and don't feel insecure. Like if you're starting a business or you're working at a startup, you're already taking such a huge risk and you're already going against like the rat race. You're already doing something really brave, and you should never let anyone make you feel stupid or anyone make you feel inferior because they sit behind a big desk and have someone else's money to throw around. So it's like, just, that wasn't like one word of wisdom. That was like a billion, but
I love it so much.
That's what I think. Be yourself, babe. Be proud of yourself.
Do you? You do you, babe. No, but it's so true. Look, I could not agree with you more. I drank the Kool-Aid. I read all the MVP books. I did the Lean Start, whatever the fuck it was. I did all of those things. And I actually created a business that I was miserable in. And I just, I used to get rolled out by different government people to sit on panels because, I was a woman in technology back then. And I got to this point where I was like, oh, this is all bullshit, and it wasn't until I really went, you know what do I want to do? What problem am I really trying to solve? Who do I want to hang out with for 15 hours a day? And what do I want my business to look like? Because for me, my business is my life. Like it balances bullshit. For me, it's always going to be what I spend the bulk of my time on.
It's what you want to bring you meaning.
Absolutely. And I was like, if I keep subscribing to all of this startup culture, I'm going to be miserable forever. So let's flick that.
Miserable. Like the whole premise of it is you're never good enough. You need to work harder.
Yeah.
Like you're never going to be good enough. The deal's never going to be big enough. There's always going to be someone getting valued more than you, even though valuations are bullshit. It's just a waste. It makes you miserable.
Oh,
And
totally.
like,
I remember when we raised like millions of dollars and then my PR person was like, nah, it's not interesting enough for media. And I was like, what the fuck have I got to do? Like,
what do I have to do?
Like,
do you want me to dance?
Maybe that would have helped.
Would that help?
It's like, hilarious though. Like that's really interesting way to put it. Like it's nothing's ever good enough. Yeah.
It's never going to be good enough and you're never going to be good enough. And as a woman in it, you're either going to be a novelty or you're going to be laughed at. That's it. You're either going to be like put on this phony pedestal and treated like some like goddess, like, but like ascribed all these male attributes that you've been successful despite your gender, as if that's such a handicap. Or you're going to be like resented for your success, even if you are successful, even if it's by their definition of success, which is by no means anyone else's definition. Like I totally get that whole thing where they like, you know, because I feel like I did that for a bit, like from UQ, and it was like, oh my God, look, she did all this, she raised money, and I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. This is not helping.
Yeah, and it's not what you're trying to build.
No, it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. Learn to smell out bullshit. That is my word of wisdom, and I would know I have a compost startup.
Oh my God, there could not have been a better way to end.
Oh
my God. Ash, thank you so much for coming on Spark TV. You are incredible. Yes, cheers.
I love it. Let's do it now. Thank you so much.
Of course.